My wife told me she needed to talk tonight, but I never expected her to stage an entire intervention just to hide the name that kept buzzing on her phone.
The argument began with a message from my wife, Talia, saying she wanted to talk tonight and that it was important. Her tone was always easy to read, even through text, and this one felt sharp. When I walked through the door that evening, she was already standing in the living room with her arms crossed. Her eyes were cold, and it felt like she had already decided the outcome before speaking. She said she was tired of feeling unappreciated, tired of me not being the husband she deserved. I asked what brought this sudden storm, but she didn't want to explain. Instead, she started listing things I supposedly did wrong, none of which made sense or matched our reality. I tried to stay calm, but her tone kept rising. It felt like she wasn't even talking to me, just talking at me. Then came the line that hit like a slap. She said I was the worst husband ever. I stared at her, unsure how she reached such a dramatic conclusion. Before I could respond, there was a knock at the door. She told me she invited her friends for support. At that point, I realized this wasn't a conversation, this was a setup. 3 of her closest friends walked in, standing in a row like they were about to judge a competition. Their expressions were painfully serious, like they had rehearsed this moment. One of them said they were there to help Talia through a difficult decision. Another said they needed to evaluate the situation, which made everything sound absurdly theatrical. I asked if this was some kind of intervention, but none of them reacted. Talia took a deep breath and said she was considering ending the marriage. The room felt smaller instantly. I asked what changed, and she said she finally realized she deserved better. Her friends nodded in slow, dramatic agreement. I noticed their eyes kept shifting toward her phone on the table, glowing with unread notifications. Something wasn't fitting together. I asked again what really caused this, and her frustration spiked. She said I was controlling, distant, and emotionally unavailable, all claims that described her far more than me. Her friends kept chiming in as if narrating a courtroom drama. It felt ridiculous, but the hurt was real. I finally asked if there was someone else. She froze, and that pause was louder than anything she could say. Her friends went quiet too, suddenly unsure of their script. Talia said I was out of line, which was an oddly defensive answer. Before she could continue, her phone buzzed again. I walked over and turned the screen toward her, showing the contact name flashing repeatedly. It was a man I didn't recognize. Her friends exchanged nervous looks. Talia tried to grab the phone, but I held it just out of reach. I asked if this was the real reason behind all of this. She didn't answer. One of her friends whispered that maybe she should tell the truth. Talia snapped at her, telling her to stay out of it. Another friend looked ashamed, realizing this intervention was never about helping. It was about covering something up. I told Talia I wasn't angry, I just wanted honesty. Finally, she muttered that she'd been talking to someone. Her voice cracked on the last word. Her friends stopped pretending they were judges and instead stared at the floor. I asked why she didn't just come to me. She said she didn't want to hurt me but felt trapped. Her excuses fell apart instantly when her phone buzzed again. She broke down, admitting they'd been meeting secretly for weeks. Her friends looked betrayed too, realizing she had lied to them as well. Everything unraveled at once. She tried blaming me again, saying I made her feel lonely. I told her loneliness doesn't justify betrayal. The room filled with silence heavy enough to crush everything left between us. Her friends apologized to me, realizing they'd been pulled into a false narrative. One of them even admitted they suspected something but didn't want to confront her. Talia kept insisting she didn't mean for it to go this far, but it already had. I told her I wouldn't yell, wouldn't argue, wouldn't drag things out. I simply told her I was done. She looked shocked, as if she expected another chance to spin the story. Her friends started helping her pack a small bag, trying not to make things worse. She kept asking if I was really ending the marriage. I told her she ended it long before tonight. She started crying, saying she made a mistake, begging for me to talk more, but there was nothing left to talk about. As they walked her out, she kept looking back like she finally saw the consequences. Her friends apologized again, saying they were sorry for believing her lies. When the door closed behind them, the silence felt strangely peaceful. I sat down on the couch, taking a long breath I didn't know I'd been holding. The weight on my chest slowly lifted. Sometimes the truth breaks you, and sometimes it frees you. At night, it did both.